Hello, everyone, and welcome to Word Up. We acknowledge that the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people, which include the Ottawa, Ojibwe, the Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. We also acknowledge the Wendat Nation, Huron, who occupied these lands prior to the middle of the 17th century. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and recognize the enduring presence of Indigenous peoples on this land. We are committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. So welcome to February 9th Word Up and our writers panel on Black History Month. So tonight we're joined by Oliver Joseph, Tanisha Turnent, Ty the Poetess, and our new Poet Laureate, and True the Eccentric One. So we're going to start with a panel, which I'm going to start with the questions, and then we'll open the floor up to you guys if we have some time. And then you guys get to wow us at open mic at the end. So each person has 5 minutes to introduce themselves.
I was gonna say we also have Louis the artist here.
Okay, Louis the artist is here. So each of you has 5 minutes to introduce yourselves to your audience. I will mute and
Got to the photo with your video screen. There's like a 3 little dots if you go and then also a pen.
Wow, this is Zoom because being like that.
I know. Yeah.
You want to come do it?
Teamwork makes dream work.
There you go.
There we go.
Hey. Shelly.
Yeah, I'm a spoken word artist and poet, prose. I'm excited to share. So my name is Tanisha Turnent, aka Ty the Poetess, and I'm Barry's 4th Poet Laureate, and the 4th person to hold the title, but the first Black person. So.
My name's Oliver Joseph. 27. I'm a songwriter, recording, and performing artist from Barrie. I just want to thank Linda and Word Up for having us all out here tonight. I'm half British, half Jamaican. I was born in the UK. I moved to Canada in 2004. And Barrie's now my new home, and there's lots of great people here, and we're building the community up. So it's really nice to meet everybody, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
Hey guys, I'm True, aka the Eccentric One. I am a creative writer myself. Preferred way of writing, poetry, songwriting. I am also the arts culture director for Uplift Black. I'm fully involved in community development and equity work as well. Thank you guys for having us here.
okay. So question number 1. The issues of diversity and underrepresentation are inextricably connected to long-standing societal issues. Are we educating people about the full tapestry of diversity through culture and the arts? And is it the job of creators to do this education? Or is it just enough for you guys to educate? Who wants to go first?
Um, just to understand, you're saying like if you think it's, I wanted to repeat the question if that's okay.
Yeah.
Please, thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, the issues of. So the issues of diversity and underrepresentation are inextricably connected to long-standing societal issues. So are we educating people about the full tapestry of diversity through culture and the arts? And is it the job of creators to do that education?
All right, long-standing indeed, a lot of things we constantly perpetuated like through media and stuff like that. So first to begin with, like for creators, it's not just our job, it's everyone's job as a society, as a community.
Asking in the back if you can speak a little louder.
Oh, sure. All right. Can you hear me now? Yeah, okay. What I was saying is that you know, for society to be a better place, a more inclusive and diverse and equitable for all, it's everyone's job, not just creators, right? A lot of us, like for myself, I cannot speak for everyone. We choose to create because that's our healthy outlet. We choose to deal with it and to amplify our voice, to take that opportunity to, speak our truth and on through arts and culture. So yeah, I think that answered the question. So it's not our sole responsibility, society at large. And it's still like this because everywhere you turn, whether from corporation, from the media, it's a lot of things are still perpetuated. So even though we're here and we get some highlight in media or certain parts, our voices is not enough. And it's a long continuous job, again, to not repeat myself, but for all of us in society.
Yeah, and I want to say, like, we can speak, but we can't make others listen.
That
Right? That is not my job. You know?
Very true. Absolutely. And just to touch on what you were saying, as well as like artists and creators, it's really a form of self-expression. I know that I make my music almost as like a self-therapy. And we definitely like have a platform. So I don't necessarily see it as our responsibility or our job to educate people. That really comes down to the person's, if they want to do that themselves, they got to go do their due diligence and look into the history and do their research and educate themselves further as well. There is an old classmate of mine who got their PhD in history. Her name's Taylor Starr, and right now she's actually using her platform to just teach people about Black excellence and Black authors. Just to name a few, there's Natasha Henry, Jeremiah Sparks, Cheryl Thompson, and Barrington Walker that she's currently covering. And absolutely, and it's just really educating people and then letting her audience do their due diligence if they want to learn more about who we are as people as well. So,
even though it's not our job solely, but personally, I'm happy to take part and be a part of the growth in whatever
Yeah,
capacity
for sure.
I'm keen for.
absolutely.
Be maybe like natural to be diverse in everything, in education and everything, and then creation and performance should just be the cherry on top. Like,
Yeah.
like this is us,
True,
But,
true.
yeah, definitely should be a group involvement, sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think I kind of agree. I mean, I think like there are things all through history that you don't know about that were being brought to light through movies and through books, and because historians bring it to an artist's view, or I think we help, but it's not our job to. I agree. So, question number 2. According to the 2019 General Social Survey, nearly half of Black people in Canada experienced discrimination in the previous 5 years. I think this was done a few years before the pandemic hit. So do you share this experience, and do writing and performance help you deal with your experience?
As well. These numbers, they were on the question. They don't surprise me, and I definitely have these memories and these moments in the past that really get my blood boiling at some points in time, and they're gonna stick with me for a lifetime. So how I've harnessed those is really through my self-expression, through my music, through building my community and my friendships with people. Really looking at them as an outlet. And, I definitely have got it from throughout my lifetime, and it's just been a way of kind of dealing with it through my craft. But we definitely find strength in numbers, and I'm very grateful for the community that we have, where we can lean on one another, and definitely express the troubles that we go through. So.
I mean, definitely I've experienced discrimination. I am a Black woman, born in Canada, that is now in Barrie. But one thing I've learned to do is not let it stop me from going after my dreams, not let it stop me from doing what's on my heart, or living the life that I hope my daughter lives, a better one that I can show her. So despite all that, I've somehow found that poetry can help me quiet that noise, that burden, that darkness. And I can write through it, and I can grow through it, and I can grow with it. And I feel like all my struggles have helped me become the woman I am today. And if you asked me a couple years ago, I might have said something different. But right now, being the first Black poet laureate in Barrie, I have nothing different to say, but other than to keep following your purpose. And even if it's hard, even if it wasn't meant for you, you get to decide, you know? So I'm good. I'm
Well
happy.
said.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like Ty said, I mean, you're Black, you're from, especially, you're Black, and you're obviously like queer like myself, so speak up. Okay.
Hey.
All right, word up. All right, yeah, discrimination daily, to the point like going out, you're scared, you're like programming out to operate because you know. I recently had a conversation with a friend, like, as I scared to discuss their Blackness out of fear it might sound too ghetto, or you know what I mean. And it just goes to show that like um racism and certain things, just like the oppression still is vibrant to today. Leaving this room, just exiting the door, I fear I might face discrimination. Just exit, So yeah, daily happenings. We're lucky if it don't happen a day in the week. Yeah.
Like the poetry, first time I wrote poetry, it was about being Black. And it was when I was 14. And it's definitely changed for sure, like how I can speak about being Black without feeling like I'm judged for something. Like everyone is there to listen. So it was definitely a wonderful platform to have. Yeah.
Oh, but we're still on, you're saying, right?
Yeah, so we'll
Okay, we just toss the camera.
I'm over here now.
Over here?
Would have told her.
Yeah. Okay. That looks good there.
Yeah, this is the technical difficulties. I don't know. Blank. Okay. So the third question is, there are some who would like to see Black History Month abolished in favor of changing school curriculums to include Black historical figures 365 days a year, which I don't think too many people should have a problem with that regardless. So what has been your experience with the school curriculum? Yours will be a little newer than mine, for instance. And should we be teaching Black history differently?
All right. I never went to school here. So I didn't went to school in Jamaica. But in Jamaica they only teach about slavery, like the history of Black people. And being further educated, reading more books as I got older and stuff like that, it's just like you realize that there's more to our Black history than slavery. And my recent experience with some students, I was shooting a video, it's like it's still the same things. Like, I'm hearing a student saying like, why am I even being asked about slavery? I was never there. Like, can we talk about another part of Black history, right? To abolish Black history, Black History Month. I don't know. I still have to sit with that question there. But teaching more about Black history and the realness. There's a book I'd like to recommend for all to read. It's called When the World Was Black, and that's how I learned further about my Blackness and the beautiful parts of my Black history. So yeah, I'm gonna let my fellow folks take
I
That's
take the
just
mic.
want to say I love that shirt. I connect with that in so many ways.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
That was a very good answer. For me, personally, I wouldn't like to see Black History Month abolished. I think that it's a time for us to celebrate Black excellence and our pioneers who have come before us. But I definitely do agree that in the school curriculum in North America, it should be taught throughout the year, not just a specific month for them to shine light and for them to give praise. You know, we're not just entertainers, we're not just athletes. There's an incredible amount of authors, lawyers, activists, business owners, you know, doctors. So we play lots of different roles. Exactly, yeah.
Inventors.
You know, there's lots. So that's the one thing I would change about the educational system is that it should definitely be taught year round and not just a specific month that is dedicated to shedding some light on our history.
I feel the same way, definitely. My daughter's 4, and I want her to learn about her Blackness all throughout the year, no matter what the season is. But it also makes me feel like, you know, we're not the only culture, we're people that have suffered. Like, what about the indigenous? You know what I mean? I feel like we should all be learning about everything because that is what has brought us here today and has literally made our history, and we do not want to repeat it, right? So we have to learn about it all.
Yeah, I wish it was more inclusive. Like I went to school in Barrie, elementary and high school. And
Wow.
so it's like, it was definitely just white. Like honestly, my Asian friend, my Indian friends, all of us were not really represented in school. And Black History Month wasn't a thing as a kid. It was like February 1st, and that was the day. And you'd hear about like Martin Luther King, but like as a kid, I'd always bring Blackness into like music because music is the most important to me. And like I would shout out people like Nina Simone and Ella Fitzgerald, you know, like stuff like that. And my friends would be like, oh, I never knew they made jazz, they made blues, they made, you know, so on and so forth. New Orleans, like talk about that stuff. But all the cultures, all the races should be just like a natural thing. Like, oh yeah, I knew about that. Like it shouldn't be a question. Like I didn't know that, you know, Chinese New Year is like a different day. You know what I mean? Like it should just be so natural.
Should be natural,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Celebrate all the people and all their history, right?
Yeah, all inclusive.
Yeah, I could say from my own experience being, you know, white in Barrie, even my whole childhood, I'm a military brat, and I think there was one Black family when I got to base Borden. I experienced very little multiculturalism besides French and English, and even there was a bit of a divide when I went and lived in Quebec. There was some bigotry there, so it's I'm really glad to see Barrie changing. I'm really happy to see. I think we're better when we have like a richer tapestry of different cultures and backgrounds and different music and everything, different art. You know, I think we're better as a people, period, with more. So that's my opinion. So we are inundated by US news and media. So name a few Canadians who have inspired you. How important has it been for you to see yourself reflected back at you through these artists? Or they don't have to be artists, I suppose, but I guess I'd just like to know what Canadians you guys are inspired by.
I'm gonna talk about Juicy Drake. Definitely put Toronto on the map for that. I also want to say that I'm not only inspired by people that are Black. I'm inspired by anybody that goes after their dreams, anybody who believed in themselves, anybody who did what they were maybe taught or shown that they can do, you know? So yes, I get my Blackness and a bit of my identity and my confidence from being Black, but I also know that I don't really see race. I see hearts, I see love, I see peace. I'm trying to build a better world for my little one. And look at all the people in this room. You know what I mean? We're all here. We're not all Black, you know? And that has inspired me to just do what's on my heart. Yeah.
I love that. Very good answer. I could go next. Just a couple of individuals to name would be Lawrence Hill. I actually picked up his book last year, Blackberry Sweet Juice, and it's really just a great book. He conducted a survey and some um, interviews with about 30 plus Black individuals across Canada, and just really went into their experience and how things were growing up in school and in with the workplace. So it was a very eye-opening book, and I think he's an incredible author. I definitely encourage you guys to all go pick up that book if you can. But yeah, he really did it from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast, so from Halifax all the way to British Columbia. There was multiple individuals who participated. And also another person who's been very inspiring, kind of growing up in North America, has been Glenn Murray. I don't know if you guys are ever familiar with Glenn Murray, but he was a songwriter and a singer. He goes around to local schools in York region and I think across the GTA. And he just shares his experience really growing up with this racism and discrimination. And it was very eye-opening. I remember he came to my elementary school and then I also saw him again in high school. Yeah, very great man and really just educates people on the hardships that people face. And he's also gone back to Africa as well. So he was definitely sharing his experiences of helping the unfortunate poverty in Africa as well, building wells, building schools, building homes for people as well. So those two individuals, Lawrence Hill and Glenn Murray, are definitely a great inspiration for me personally.
Louis?
Okay. Yeah. Like I'm very inspired by just local people, truly. Like the first time I came here, I was with you guys in November and it was really nice. Like I've never had an experience where I could like share poetry with people who care about poetry. So, like I know like it doesn't seem like much, but it's a lot, okay? Because when I was in high school, this was not a thing. So for me, that's inspirational, if that's okay. The community inspires me 100%. I like to see normal people, not famous people, just doing their thing and enjoying it. So thank you, honestly. Yeah.
All right, yeah, Louis, to elaborate on what you're saying, to be more specific, Shelly and Skinner, it's quite the inspiration. I must say, I watch you grind every day, you put in work, you put your community before yourself, like you don't just say uplift, you mean it, you feel me? Like you're a single, I wouldn't say parent because you're not really single, but but a Black woman with kids with, just grinding the way you do. And like, you know, I hear you, I see you every day. I follow you to your keynotes where you express yourself. I only, like the way you lift myself up and people I know for sure in the community. Like, I could further elaborate and carry on, but, like it's a local, real life, witnessing it every day is quite an inspiration.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally agree with them. Absolutely.
We're moving right along. Look at, there's two of me up there.
Yeah. I'm trippy.
So what are other ways what other ways do you define yourself through your creative work? So example, the age, beliefs, gender identity, religion, abilities, education, work and life experience, family, education, ethnicity. There are so many ways that we all identify ourselves as. So do you believe sharing your multifaceted selves in your work changes stereotyping?
I know, like I kind of want to read the last bit just to make sure I'm right on point. I got it late. My email had a glitch. My bad. All right. If someone else want to lead, go for it.
Oh my God, I don't know. I feel like the descriptions of myself and the identities of myself change throughout time. Like
Yeah.
it never stays the same. Like one moment I'll be like very quiet, but it depends on my environment, and the next moment I'm loud as hell. People are telling me to shut up. So it's like I don't really know. I'm a woman. I'm a Black woman, and I grew up from a Christian home. I have an affinity for the Great Spirit. I do. I just believe in an inclusive environment. Like truly, I believe in love beyond everything, and peace as well. Like my goal is peace for all people, and just to be able to go outside and not like worry about if someone is going to attack you for something that you find not that big of a deal, but for them it's a huge threat, you know. So yeah, I don't know. That's a lot of specific ways to identify yourself.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of things they just are factors to identifying who you are, and they're a part of me. Like my family is a part of me and everything that they do. But it's not the end all be all, you know, like it's going to change, and I'm excited for the changes.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like the factors that identify me or help with my writing today might be different tomorrow, might be different next month. I feel like I tend to write through my experiences because they're personal and they're real to me. And I feel like they usually can help someone else, which is why I like to share them. But no, I'm constantly changing and my writing changes as I grow. And it's going to continue to. But yes, my Blackness is a part of my identity. It's made me me, and I'm proud of it. And honestly, like this whole panel and all the questions kind of made me dig a little deeper and made me really think about like, what does it mean to be Black? You know, especially when I'm talking to an audience that is mainly white. And being the first Black poet laureate in Barrie, I definitely felt a lot of pressure, but I feel like it was good pressure in a way because it kind of taught me that like I don't need to say the perfect answer. Like my experiences is just enough, you know? And I'm grateful that you guys are all here wanting to learn and wanting to hear from us, and that we can speak our truths and that they're actually being heard. So yeah, I'm gonna keep changing. I'm gonna keep growing. I don't know what tomorrow might hold, but I'll probably have a pen and paper and be writing poetry, you know?
I think both Lewis and Ty, you guys hit the nail on the head. I definitely feel like we're always growing and developing. We're always changing and learning more about ourselves. One thing for me is finding the self-love and the self-belief, and just becoming more of a staple in my community and definitely giving back my experience. You know, just giving my opinion on certain things as well and speaking my voice, and to go touch on stereotypes like that as well. You know, we shouldn't have to conform a certain way. We should wear our hair how we want to wear our hair. We should dress how we want to dress. We should talk and walk how we would like to talk. And it really comes down to those who are grasping it to accept it in a certain way. It's not our responsibility. We all have individualism, freedom of speech. So that's one thing that I stand on, and just getting more comfortable in my own skin and what I believe in as well. And just being on this journey and just doing it all the way. And I know that I got a great community around with me. So we're all going to grow and develop and change over time. The strength in numbers. So we're all in this together.
True. All right. It says, do I believe sharing my multi-faced self in my work changes stereotype? I would hope so, but it definitely, you know, like I said, people were constantly fed information through media, various ways, and how we should view or how, you know, how the world paints picture. And, you know, hearing this, our story from our own mouth would naturally open up someone else's mind to even like, you know, to think differently, to view us differently. So the aim is hope that it would, you know, to take an opportunity to speak your truth would allow people to see you, you know, but, you know, there's biased mindset, so people can only process things from their perspectives, right? As a multidisciplinary artist, naturally, like my writes go from very painful to very happy. I'm inspired by life, you know, it's something that comes naturally, you know. Before I even like start speaking like this, what drove me to writing was the fact like I went through a lot of trauma as a child, so I wouldn't speak. I was pretty much nonverbal. So communicate with my friends with like they ask me a question, I'm singing it back my answer. So like, you know, I oftentimes get like, what your life should just be a musical. I'm like, it kind of is, you know. So yeah, definitely. I like writing about everything. I like creating about everything around me. You know, from within me, from things from without. Again, I'm a multidisciplinary artist, and I do not like to be confined or oppressed. You know, so naturally, and yeah, people I've seen in people's face and people's response are like, oh wow, I never know that you know, it's really wow, people are open up people's mind to think different. But yeah, hope I answered the question.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
True.
Yes, very good. I was,
Okay, happy to have you here.
Honest girl.
I was very happy to hear some of you say you expect, you know, how you see yourselves now will change. Because I am a little older than you guys, and it will. A lot of things will change. The things that you expect, things you don't expect, and it's nice to hear that you're ready to ride with it. That's good. So does anyone here have any questions for our panel?
Let us have it.
Yeah. Why do y'all think that the media portray this like picture of like promote racism essentially?
Well, that's our question. First and foremost, you know that only black people alone are allowed to say niggas and kill niggas in their song. Anybody else get they don't even get they're not even allowed to put that on the radio or on the, you know, like how many like I want to answer that question with a question. But like, and you know, it's hard for me to say this because I myself have been programmed and trying to decolonize my own mind. There have been times I'll see a black man walking down the street and I want to clutch my jewelry. Where did that come from? Feel me? I did not teach myself that. I was raised with a bunch of black brothers that's very loving and caring. You know what I mean? So there's so many ways to like answer that question. Why are we only seeing like black men getting killed on the news versus like when I see like I'm open up other media man's like, you know, personal stories like, oh, this black kid is 9 years old, graduating from university. Like why are we seeing those things? Why are blackness and you don't hear about black excellence unless we hashtag in our own post when we graduate school or get a job. Who else put that on and bring us back to Black History Month? Whereas the only time we hear about black, you know, we might hear about some black excellence in black history, but we're only hearing about slavery in black history. Why is that the only thing being taught in school? Why are we, you know, why every day, like, you know, people like myself and Shelly got to get up and teach people to love their black selves. You know what I mean? And it's still happening today. Yeah. So I'm not gonna hold the mic much longer.
No, you're good, man. I think to touch on it too, I think it's a very controlled narrative. You know, the media definitely promotes things that are gonna sell, things that are, you know what I mean, the biggest story. And it's unfortunate, man, because moving forward, we gotta be wary of what we actually pay attention to. You know, I didn't watch the Tyree Nichols video myself.
I didn't.
I heard about it through the grapevine, and that was a choice that I made. You know, because it gets heavy on the heart, it gets heavy on the mind, and we gotta love our image. We gotta love what we see in the mirror, and I think that's something that's a controlled narrative sometimes. Just to be detrimental. So instead of helpful, it's more harmful than helpful. So just be wary of what we consume.
Those constant exhibition in the media. So you know what I mean? It's not only to create stereotype, it's also to control us, to remind us so we don't step out of place. You know, I want to raise my voice about this nonsense, but I'm not trying to get shot like him or choked out or anything like that. Feel me? But yeah.
Just those like the shootings, the killings, all that kind of stuff scar people. It's like, oh my God. Like how do you explain that to people? I don't know. But I think that in the media they just like to promote us as the cool ones, you know, like in the movies and stuff. They're like hella gangster. And then there's like my younger brother who's like the absolute nerd who loves Naruto, like it's nobody's business. He's very shy, he hates the party, you know, it's like all that kind of stuff. And then people will call him whitewashed because he's not black enough. And he doesn't hang out with enough black people to be a black person, but then his white friends call him black. So where do you stand? You know, so it's one of those things where people just need to kind of like let go. We're not like, your skin shade can't make you any more black or any more white. Like, let it go, you know? Like, I feel like in the media, they just need to be much more accepting that people can be what they are. And the fact that, like, it's TMI, but your parents did the deed and you came out looking like this, it's not really my fault. You know what I mean? Like, my personality is the way it is because of all my things, you know, all the identities, all the things that inspire me and factors that make me who I am and the things that make me change and are becoming, you know, like it's just something that is and it should be kind of accepted that way. Yeah. No expectations, like just chill. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a little poem that I like to share that I feel like kind of talks about my experience on this question. Okay. You'd think writing a poem for Black History Month would come to me easily, like something I wouldn't think about, it would just come from me, like how poetry usually does, like how effortlessly we breathe without thinking about the next breath. But instead, I'm putting words together while feeling suffocated by stress. See, I'm feeling immense pressure to speak for all my ancestors. I want to say everything they wish they could as I speak freely in places they wish they stood. But I'm burdened by the stigma of sounding too ghetto or being hypersexualized if I decide to wear a stiletto. See, it's Black History Month, but my ancestors fought for years, and all I want is to make them cry happy tears. As I write this poem, I'm struggling to find the words to let my ancestors know that their prayers and cries were heard. As I try to write a Black History Month poem perfectly, it finally dawns on me that I am Black legacy. I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. I am the revolution they long to see. A poet laureate whose skin is ebony. A woman who sees her Blackness as beauty. A woman who shares the struggles of her ancestors' past confidently. As I write this poem, I'm no longer struggling because everything they fought for, I am encompassing. My melanin skin is worth embracing, and the kinks in my hair don't need any straightening. Loving myself and all my Blackness is what my ancestors would want to see. And finally, at last, we are free. But are we really? If so, then why did writing this poem bring me so much anxiety?
Bruce has a question.
They were all there. We had one class. Basketball. But anyway, that aside, any else struggle?
That would be beneath me. Select electron.
Because they don't have that personal experience, and it's easy to write about personal experience. And I asked for
Something.
any advice on how to approach that. My book, I struggled with do I want to be Indigenous? But anything I knew of Indigenous people was very stereotyped from when I was young. I know that stuff was about what was true, wasn't true now. But again, it's not the reality, not reality today. So I approached some authors on Instagram, Indigenous background. Didn't get any support there. One woman wanted to, but she said she didn't have time. So I ended up getting a book and read that, and found out that I crafted the character pretty well. maybe believe at one level that, you know, we're all kind of the same, go through the same thing as kids. And, you know, doing some bad things is part of what we do when we're kids.
Number one,
Way down the difference. Yeah.
unbelievable.
I'm struggling because one of the stories I'll be working on next with Black Already Drafted is involves one of the kids, or two kids that run this fire. And I'm now facing the same oddly stereotypical where
My personality is cool, calm, collected.
So I'm just gonna give the Cole's notes so that people at home, in case they didn't hear Bruce. Cole's notes are Bruce is a white guy trying to write multifaceted, multicultural characters. And how do you approach that without feeling like you're doing it wrong or stealing cultural identity and stuff, right? Kind of basically. No, and how to edit it. Okay. Okay.
Question, do you write fiction or non-fiction book? Fiction. Well, first of all, thank you for even caring to like, not just write from your perspective, you know what I mean, to actually like get closer to the community or the folks you're writing about, to give a truer reflection of them. So thank you for that. Like honestly, I just further educate yourself, and to, you know, again, I'm refer back to the book When the World Was Black, because you know, or even just look for books like that, or even like true stories of Black people, so you can like, you know, get from their perspective. Like for you, the only thing that for you to do is just further educate yourself on the culture and on the folks, and yeah.
The title of that book again?
When the World Was Black.
When the World Was Black.
Yeah, and I'm referring books like this because I don't want to end up with a stereotypical one, like, you know, because you know, good for the Black guy in school. He was a very good athlete and everything, but there was another discussion I had with the youth, and it's like that. Unfortunately, that's the only experience. Like with a Black kid in your school, he's a good athlete, and like a lot of folks, like, you know, like Louis' brother, like, you know, we don't want to just have that one stereotypical mindset about black men. That's all they're good for. It's good athlete or whatever, right? So further educate yourself. Yeah.
Volleyball. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, like I love that. I love that documentary too, because he was just like my younger brother. I was kind of surprised. Like he was the same personality. But like not to make it even a black and white thing. For example, when I was in university, I'm also a dancer too, but I love dance from a lot of cultures. Like it's just my love. I love it so much. But I'm not from all the cultures, you know? And so I was choreographing a dance for a choir, and the dance was for a children's a children's show, and so they were performing all of these song numbers from all these Disney movies where the girls had different skin color, and one of them was from Moana. I am not Polynesian at all. Do I know what they were saying in the songs? No, I didn't. I had to go in and like look up what those words meant. I had to ask people who were actually from that culture, what does this mean? And when you guys do your dances, what does that mean? Because when I was a kid, Hawaii was Polynesian, and this was like the hula dance, you know, and everyone did the hula dance, and that's all women did. And I had to kind of come out of that stereotype. I had to, because then if I didn't, I was just teaching the choir what I knew, like you, from your perspective, you know, and then that would have caused definite huge problems. As a Black woman who's born in Canada, showing off a dance like this, like I'm not from that culture. So I had to go and learn. And I had somebody who was from that culture, thankfully, taught me what the dance moves meant that they did on YouTube and everything like that. What does it all mean? And it's actually just like sign language, but with the body. And so I had to learn all the words, how they connected with the dancing. And then before we put on the performance, I let everyone know the people in this choir were Black, Indian, and white. None of us were Polynesian. but we wanted to represent more than just our cultures. We wanted to represent that we were inclusive, that we were accepting of people. And then we shouted out the woman who taught me the dance. And then I had to teach everyone the dance because she didn't have the time to teach the choir. So I taught the choir that dance, you know, and so it was something that I learned. And then when people ask me and they try to mimic the song, I'll say, no, you need to actually learn the lyrics because you don't even know, you might be swearing or something like that or saying something completely disrespectful. So just learn. There's nothing wrong with if you do make a mistake and people call you out on the mistake, just say, okay, yeah, you're right. I made a mistake because you're human as well. And we still see you as human. We won't like attack you for that, but it is important to kind of highlight and it's a great way to kind of spread the love, spread the light on different races and everything like that through writing. So congrats on being an author, by the way. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
I was never.
Okay. That's okay. No problem there. Yeah.
The one thing I would like to feel is when somebody writes the race of a person and clueless as to why the race was important in that passage. So if it's something that's important enough to talk about and where the race is relevant, yes, okay. If not, you're writing out of your experience and your knowledge, and it doesn't matter what race you're only if it's going to highlight something specific about the race that you want to do this.
Yeah, that even applies in theater as well. Like I love theater. And when I was in school, I don't know how it is for you guys, but when I was in school for theater, like they would put like this was racism in itself, but they didn't highlight it. They would put Black people in the middle or on the outside to make the scene even. And we had nothing to do with the story, or our stories were not being told. Like they make the scene even based off of our skin shade. You know, the Hispanics are just before me because their skin is just a little lighter, and then the mixed person, and then the very white person in the middle, or it would be in the reverse. So just to include us, to make it seem like your story is diverse, it's just like a crock. It's like, okay, well, that's cool. That's nice. But like, if you're going to talk about it and how, and develop that character too. Like if you give that character some like gusto, we love that stuff. Yeah, like put it in there and get it going. And like, it'll give people who are like my younger brother to read something like that and be like, oh, that character was more than just like his pants at his waist and that backwards hat, you know, like there's more to, like I said, there's some of us who are nerds, some of us who swim, some of us who, like I said, our skin is just a coincidence. It's just our circumstance, but to kind of include that in the story, talk about it. It's good. Yeah.
I totally agree. I think to answer what you were saying, Bruce, as well, like if you're looking for that participation, you can learn a lot about people over a cup of tea or coffee.
Oh yeah.
So I definitely encourage you if you want to take somebody out and, you know, get their perspective.
Or
Maybe,
beer.
you know, yeah, you know, I think that'd be a great way for you to learn a little bit more and just avoid that stereotype. A lot of things as well. That'd be my advice to you as well. Hey, up there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Even that idea just reminded me of Life of Pi. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but like it was a white guy who wrote about an Indian guy, but he just literally talked to the Indian guy in Montreal. Like that's how he wrote the story. It was awesome, like epic. You know? So yeah, coffee's good.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions or comments or?
Cool. Yeah, I just decided to write my first poetry book this year. Yeah, so that's the highlight, really. I'm trying to get as close as I can because yeah, you have inspired me, and I'm sorry for all the pressure, but there is a lot. Yeah. I can see there is a lot as the Black woman. Like even as a woman, it's another pressure. So like Black and woman, and it has inspired me because of my circumstances to actually be involved in as much as I can while I can. And to write a to write a poetry book is not even for the to be known or anything. I just want the 6-year-old me to have been like, I wrote a book, you know, like she's still in me and she's like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like I want to do this. And I'm excited to just have it. And even if it doesn't make one sale, I'll just put it on my shelf and say, that's mine. You know, like that's kind of my goal right now. And I want to perform as much as I can. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I feel like I felt a lot of weight as being the first Black person, and I'm a woman, and I'm a newly single mom. But you know, I'm grateful that I found my passion and a community that supports me, and I'm able to express everything that I'm going through in life through my poetry. I'm grateful for all you individuals that want to learn more and be allies. I'm grateful for all the organizations that are doing great work to give us opportunities to be paid and to be seen. I'm really grateful. Again, I'm gonna just read a poem. Can I do
That's the
that?
best way for me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. This one's dedicated to my daughter, which is my reason of why. If anybody read my book, which I'm selling $10 I didn't have the best relationship with my mom, but that's why I have tried to break that generational curse and do the exact opposite. And give her as much love as I can. And I wrote this to my daughter. Are you ready, Aurora? Are you listening? Okay. When my daughter gets older and asks me, what does it mean to be Black? I'm going to tell her that it means she was born with a superpower. The melanin in her skin was placed there because she was born to win, and her skin displays strength that some can't even find within. When my daughter gets older and asks why her color is brown and why her hair sticks up instead of falling down, I will tell her it's because she was born with a crown. When she asks me why her braids take so long, I will tell her it's because each one sings its own song. When my daughter gets older and asks why her skin is brown, I will tell her it is because she is golden. She was born with a pigment ready for the sun, ready to shine bright, for the universe knew just who she would become. When she asks me why her hair is kinky and curly, I'll tell her it's because it can hold stories of overcoming and glory. And each cornrow laced with pink lotion and castor oil on her head displays the prayers her ancestors once said. When she asks me why she has big, luscious lips I cover with Vaseline or coconut oil, I'll tell her it is because she's meant to speak great truths. Her eyes are colored dark so she can recognize the light. And if she ever questions her identity, I will tell her that she was created precisely. Born with a tan that many pay for jealously. Black girl magic, she has it. The underdog whose innate passion will bring her to win, for her ancestors share the same skin that she's in. Black don't crack, and you know what I'm saying. So I'm gonna tell my daughter that even in her 40s, she will be slaying. She will be displaying what most go home and be secretly hating because they desire to belong in places that couldn't be home without her presence in. Beyonce, Latifah, Michelle, and Rosa, Elizabeth Freeman, Harriet Tubman, and Kamala Harris, Maya Angelou, Nina Simone, Marsha Johnson, Aretha Franklin, and Katanya Jackson. If my daughter ever asks, what does it mean to be Black, I will then introduce her, Aurora Chanel Turnant.
Thank you for sharing that.
Like, I didn't really learn about I'll tell you guys some real tea. I don't think I've ever seen my mom walk outside with her natural hair my whole life. Yeah. I just turned 30 this year. One thing I did when I gave birth to her is I started embracing my naturalness, especially as a woman. I don't want her to feel like she needs a lace front or she needs extensions. No, she needs to love herself as she is. And I'm grateful for organizations like Uplift Black and the impact that we can make in the youth in our lives. Sorry. So much joy.
To answer Shelly's question, I'm just going to be continuing to make music this year. Definitely involve myself in the community. We got some great people in the building. Lifted to the back. He does a great community cleanup on Sundays in Barrie. So I'm going to be getting involved.
Continuing.
We got Shelly and Chu in the building, who are the owners of Uplift Black. I'm definitely looking to work further with them. They got the Uplift Beatbox sessions that we do, like open mics as well. So definitely going to be building the community up. And then with Ty, we got Rapids Poetry as well, which is an amazing event. We're going on tour, so I'm really excited for that. But I'm currently just working on an EP, which is going to be a 3-song EP. Last year I had a heartbreak, so I kind of used that pressure and that pain to put it into my craft. Come up with some songs. So I'm gonna get those recorded and get those out hopefully in the next month or two. So that's what I'm up to, and definitely I'm very appreciative of everybody coming out tonight too. It's been beautiful.
Like basically what they're saying, echoing what everybody's saying. I'm trying to master my craft this year, and we were saying earlier that Barry's changing, and I noticed that myself. I'm from Jamaica, and I've always liked driving out of. I landed in Toronto, like driving out of town, and I started coming up here, and I'm seeing a lot of Black faces and the growth on Barry, Innisfil. I'm like, this is beautiful, and I'm given the opportunity to be a part of the community development. So that's definitely continue to work. And like Oliver said, between like the open mic, there are a lot of other programs we're working at the Upbeat Box, which is a studio, the creative studio created by Uplift Black, that's housed in the Uplift Black Center, Social Justice Center, which is 12 Dunlop Street right there. But yeah, just continue to create some more workshops and programs to help our community develop and master my craft. I decided I wanted to work on my book. I don't think I'm releasing it. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, which kind of sucks at times. We need that. Yeah, and I've always wanted to write my life story, and I dawned on me like, you know what? I'm just like, I have a couple portion of my rights that I created, speaking my truth, speaking my life, and I'm just gonna tell it in a poetic form and write my story like that. And I don't want to say in hopes because I like to practice not when or if, but it's gonna happen when it happens, not if, but when it happens. Take some of that information from the book to help create a movie documentary. When I came here, I took part in a documentary called Last Chance. I'm a refugee here. I had to leave Jamaica. See the scars on my face. I went through a lot ever since I got forced out the closet at the age of 10. It's just been me, myself against all of Jamaica, pretty much. So I got the opportunity to come here, and when I got the opportunity, I also got the opportunity to take part in a documentary. So if you get a chance to watch a documentary, it was on Netflix, but it's no longer there. It's now on the National Film Board of Canada. So they filmed part of it in Jamaica, and when I was exiting the plane, the airport here, they were there and they recorded that. So I wanted to kind of like continue that story. It was 5 participants, but I want to continue my story, tell my experiences in Canada as a new settler, new immigrant, and yeah. So documentary movie, The Upbeat Box and Master in the Craft. That's where it's at. And
R.I.P.
all right, of course, rap is poetry. All right. And Ty, you did inspire me too, because I didn't even know what a poet laureate was until I learned about what a poet laureate through time. Like, I'm a poet laureate. I'm thinking I want to go for Canadian poet laureate or Ontario poet laureate. So a lot of work to be done. And I learned to, if I want to do that, I will continue to, like, what's your name, Bruce? I like to tell my story from my Canadian point of view and other people's story that I came across and learn to love along the way, tell their story. Yeah, man. Barry, big up yourself. Everybody big up on yourself.
Yeah, and the first rap is poetry sold out, right?
Yeah. Big thing.
We were gonna go, I got sick, and then I didn't. I know, I was disappointed. April 22nd in Collingwood is the next rap is poetry, so look for that. So I would say our panel is come to an end, but it's time for open mic. How many open micers do we have here in person?
Can I do one before I go? I want to do first.
Of course you can.
A shotgun.
But do we have any in the audience who have something to be? Bruce, do you have anything? Or
Come on, Bruce, let's hear it.
like, it doesn't have to be, it can be anything writing related. Yeah. Yeah. You have,
Gotta get out of here, so
okay.
All right. Driver's seat.
Yeah, my name is Lifted. I'm a local MC, hip hop MC, but I also do various community events. I'm a rappers, poetry artist, and part of a couple other collectives. So I actually wrote this piece in 2020 when the George Floyd riots were happening. And one of my mentors, my main mentor, his name is KRS-One, Knowledge Reigns Supreme. He's a pioneer in hip hop culture, and he's also a direct lineage from Kwame Ture, which was a civil rights leader. If you guys want to look him up, aka Stokely Carmichael, he's done a lot of revolutionary work over the past decade. So that's one of my mentors, and we do a lot of community-based work with the Temple of Hip Hop, which is his organization. Anyways, that's a big intro. But this track right here, this verse is inspired, and yeah, I just it's aimed to inspire. This is what art does. Yeah, sure. Actually, I'll just put it down here. So, what are you gonna do as the madness ensues? The world is going AWOL, trapped in a zoo. I gotta start that again. It's been a minute. What are you gonna do as the madness ensues? The world is going AWOL, trapped in a zoo. Racism running loose, man's acting a fool. The whole system is corrupt with colonial thinking. Your mind is brainwashed. You don't know what you're missing. How long are we gonna sit and watch as people getting murdered? Don't use your voice, you're just pushing it further. Definition of a coward if you turn in a blind eye. I won't be silent with rhymes. I try waking up your mind's eye. Yo. Yeah, that's all I got for now. Sure. On the spot, but yeah, of course. Big up to Word Up and all the panelists. The only way we're gonna make a better tomorrow is when we work together, right? So we have to always support each other and have important dialogues. Give thanks for community.
Lifted and gifted.
That was lifted.
That was lifted and gifted, yeah.
Do you have anyone else for open mic? You want to come on up?
Hey.
If we have a longer cruise, we just live in the last spring here.
Jump to the introduction.
The last time I came up here and I did a reading, my blood sugar was crashing. I didn't think I was going to get through it. Neither did Sharon, but I made it through. And
Really well.
and I read some pretty serious poetry. And one gentleman in the crowd told me to stop watching the news, which is probably very insightful of him. But I didn't. Kept watching the news. Tonight I decided maybe I should read something maybe a little lighter. So last summer we had this great garden. You know, we were happy, so amazed at nature growing such beautiful vegetables, and just enjoying them and all that. And we dabbled in ghost peppers, really hot. A million Scoville. And Sharon was so I don't know, amazed at my excitement. She said, "I can write about it." I said, "Oh." Because we had made a hot sauce. So, anyways, this is about our ghost peppers. It's called "For Those Who Would Dare." Take heed, as well you should. Your state, in truth, might suffer. From exposure it surely would be begging for a soothing buffer. While seeds are deep in ground, the beasts are quietly hiding. Add moisture all around, and ghosts might soon be rising. With warm sun beaming down, lights the path to breaking out. From their lair underground must emerge foolish sprout. To froth and roil in a vessel of brass, till wafts and seems just right, then captured in a jail of glass for everyone's curious sight. Assuredly, like the witch's brew, derives most evil spawn, it will remain within you through ghastly night till dawn. Its color appears enticing, warm shades of peach coulis, but capsaicin soon defining proportions of fright or revelry. For the foolish who would dare, with shiny spoon or spout, it will slide in with wicked flare and swirl itself throughout. Then bathed in glory or carnal pain, even the hardened will need to shout when finally this little ghostly fane heinously finds its way out. You know what? There's another 100 in draft. I get woken up.
There you go. I hear that. Yep, I hear that.
So there's one that I wrote a while back in the early 90s. It's called The Encounter. And it's about when I met my wife. And that was it was like 31 years ago. We married 28 years ago. Should come better prepared, I guess.
Get some tabs for you.
There are tabs here. Not on the ones that I wanted to refer. Okay, the encounter. She gazed upon me with her loving blue eyes and drew from my depths a feeling that seemed to have come from a place unknown to me, one which she had conjured in her own vision, but somehow I knew that this island had been there always. And now, with one glance, one soft gaze, she had broken through, discovered this private space, which somehow had been preserved for her. Her gaze lingered, and she filled the space, made it her own, and molded it, hoping it would be there, waiting for her to visit, to imbue forever. Her hand slid across the table, between the bottle and the candle, and touched mine, ever so soft. Her compassion overwhelming as she let her eyes explore, seemingly searching for something that had been hidden. She never spoke nor uttered a sound, for the silence brimmed with images and sensations, with the merging of souls. In a leap of faith, she put her palm to meet mine, with gentle desire and resolve, only to melt my heart, tapping the imprisoned passion. Her own tearing down the wall that so arduously had been erected to protect from intrusion, from exposure. Her beauty, her grace, her love, blended and offered, embracing me and bringing me home, home to my innocence, home to myself. And this is a cynical representation of narcissism in our society and the men who actually display it. Sam was a man's man who wanted more than most to be the one with the game plan, the subject of every toast. His humble boasts and brags foretold far in advance about his feats and flags, and his charlatan power stance. He craved for the last word and nurtured his physical bod, always paraded it till fully assured that he had received every last nod. His ego had grown so large, barely squeezed through the open door, but his momentum would soon discharge when he chased for more and more. Altruism is what he chose, to distract and to deceive, or dismiss from the many woes he left behind for others to unweave. His contempt was ever so deepening when the pleading was expressed to protect from deeply caring, and vulnerability soon aggressed. The put-downs were excessive and the sarcasm applied with fury, but his manner proved destructive as he hung without a jury. His victories were so humorous for his ego and his gain, but the effect of his hubris upon the weary, traumatic pain. Always asserting his firm dominion and the rules from some new book, meant only to his children, he'd never let them off the hook. His lessons were finally learned to those who don't know him well, but the close ones would detect the echoes of the reaper's knell. He destroyed happily ever after, with no guilt apparent to wear. His gift was a loathsome disaster for those who were made to bear. When finally launched from his bed by the one whom he wed, the self-righteous was no longer, and the ego remained unfed. Mind and reason, no fighting chance. Self-esteem suffered the worst, but when the debts were left to chance, walking wounded or dispersed. His denial is still impenetrable, for the truth would only devour the protection that makes him able his false self to empower. His transgressions hold no resonance, for he doesn't at all regret, never scours his own conscience, prefers illusions to project. His legacy is thin and feeble, and the damage is so deep for the offspring who still struggle and hide when they weep.
I'll get that. If I got your approbation.
Hold on, wait, let me think about it. You're different? Who's going? Okay, my bad.
You guys should close it off. Here's a special guest. Is Sam okay?
Just realized, because I didn't get anything, that I actually have my book, which I'll be releasing in the next few months, on my phone because I just sent it to someone did it. So I found the email. I'm just going to read. This is a collection of short fiction. It ranges from 100 words to 10,000 word story. And it is multi-genre. I never perceived myself as writing literary. I don't really like literary, but apparently, according to an editor who was speaking to this group when I read one piece, I'm a literary writer as well. So there's twisted psychological murder mystery, suspense, historical romance, and apparently literary in this. So multi-genre, multi-size. I'm going to read two of the shortest ones as soon as I find it here. Just please bear with me. For page 116 here. Yes, the pages aren't numbered. Okay, we'll go right to the end and read the last one first. And then maybe we'll stop, maybe we'll do one. Okay, so this is the very short one. It's based on a sculpture. And it ended up being long listed in a competition. And I don't know that you're going to be able to see the picture from here. In fact, it's not going to show up. Okay. It's called Body Art. This was a sculpture by a Toronto artist. And I just have to describe it as being very weird. It had deer legs, a birdhouse for a head. It was just a very bizarre thing that I would not want in my house. But it inspired me to write the following, which is called Body Art. And the sculpture was by artist Sally Thurlow. Few of the original strain remain, fewer every year. Genetically modified, a resistance to disease is now inbred. Parental options are extensive. Post-birth alterations unlimited, and for the most part unrestricted. Regulations, however, do not allow the removal of the individualistic nature of our brains. So creativity, innovation, subjectivity flourish. While plastic and ink enabled our ancestors to sculpt and paint their exterior, gene manipulation addresses the complete being. Self-expression has become rampant. Some view us as freaks, others as living, evolving works of art. The vanguard has always felt scrutiny. supposed to make it. And find this one. Okay, as for something completely different, I'll read this. That was the shortest of them all, so I'll read the beginning from the longest one, which is a historical romance. And give me the, if I go a little too long, I'll just read the first part. It's a historical romance, 1800s in London, England. His music billowed through the cavernous concert hall. Each note hung in the air like a leaf in a tiny updraft, waiting to be spun away by a northern gust of reflectiveness. Hypnotic and soothing, it spread a cloak of peace over the audience, their collective emotional state almost sighing. A field of frozen faces and limp smiles stared up at him, their eyes transfixed on the temporary sun of their universe, soaking up his energy. Franz babied the strings a little longer and then began stroking them with authority. The sound lifted, arced, and drove forward into the hall, building in pace and intensity with each vibration. Back straightened, toes twitched, feet began to drum the floor. Certainly this was unacceptable behavior from such a concert, but then who had the power to avoid it? And who would ever blame them? Franz held them in his grip. He elevated their spirits as one, carried them into the clouds, and then set them gently on a rolling hill of some distant emerald pasture, thirsting for more. He thrust his bow skyward in triumph. Raven hair fell like a closing curtain over his face. He took his bow. The audience stood and roared, and roared, and roared. Bravo, bravissimo, encore, encore. But there would not be an encore. Not tonight, not ever. The audience knew this, but it didn't stop them from cheering, trying, hoping. Franz strode off the stage, his Stradivarius clamped under his arm. He returned for a second bow and then took his leave. 5 minutes passed before the applause subsided, and the crowd began to disperse down the aisles and out to waiting carriages. Everyone it was, except a young woman, a lamppost of a girl, plainly dressed in black with a red rose pinned to her dress and another to the side of her frayed hat. She stood in the standing room only section, silent and unmoving, as she had throughout the entire concert and ensuing applause. It took 15 minutes for the hall to empty. A half an hour later, the cleaners had fulfilled their purpose and left. When the time came, as she knew it would, she watched Franz stroll back onto the stage, take the violin under his chin, and delicately, ever so delicately, begin to play. If his previous performance had been gripping, if the concert had been mesmerizing, then what could be said of this private performance? It was divine. No, not enough. It was angelic. Still not adequate. The feelings it stirred were intense, intimate, consuming, breathtaking. This was love, the pure, raw, and often sorrowful passion of love. Nothing else could be said of it. Marie Fleury suspected that she was the only one who had ever heard it. On a dreary and hazy night, she had stumbled through the back of the concert hall looking for shelter. Having uncharacteristically imbibed several pints of ale through the day, she had outmaneuvered the unwanted advances of several customers and wound up staggering down an alley, seeking a place of rest away from the mist that chilled what little flesh poked her bones. She had entered the first unlocked door she had found. She hadn't really known where she was, nor did she care. It was dry, relatively warm, and was the faintest thread of beautiful music wafting in the air. She followed the sounds through several dim halls until she found herself in the wings of a large stage. There in the middle was a man, a bold, beautiful man in formal dress, obviously a gentleman. It was from him the music came. Somehow she knew it was from him rather than his instrument. The violent was simply an outlet. I'll stop there.
Is it our turn?
It's true.
This one I wrote from to write it, watching the news and saw the joint saw it, the whole situation there and just like, it's prompt to write this. But I actually, I wrote it, I created, I didn't create it, I someone to create it and did a full production. And, this one I'm about to, you can find on YouTube if you so wish to check it out. All right, here goes. Black Lives Matter shouldn't be a cause for debate. Who feels it knows it. Therefore, if you're not Black, chances are you can't relate. Every other week, a Black life is taken in their homes or in the street by racist police. While families weep, the most we get from leaders is some half-assed speech. That's even if we get one. Hands up, they still shoot while we ain't got no weapon. Let's take a step in the right direction. Can we get a Black Lives Matter next election? It's relevant to have a prime minister or president who cares about our element. Isn't it evident? We need urgent changes to the system, I'm insisting, so Black lives no longer fall victims by the hands of biased, racist, lying policemen, women, and isms. Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, the list is endless. NYPD choked Eric Garner and left him breathless. Killer cop took George Floyd's life with his knees on his damn neck, got us all upset. Still, I won't change the subject. Politicians come preaching every 4 years for our votes, asking about how much they care. Y'all don't see the red flags then, how about the pattern? Problem solving is what we need to learn, not how many moons belong to Saturn. Start by holding officers accountable. Is that so insurmountable? How about better background checks and training for your constables? Black men and women, I'm on to you. First of all, you're beautiful. But let's get into action. I'm tired of just talks and tweets with hashtags and oh my God reactions. Can we get some more Shelly Ann Skinner, Cyrus Marcus Ware, Caroline Williams, and Marlon Campbell to lead by example? Black celebrities, it's more than ample to recreate a Black Wall Street where there's a will, there's a way to monopolize the Black dollar and build a Black economy. Can we create and curate projects within the projects that teaches Black youth other ways besides glorifying selling crack? How about that? See, we keep dying and I'm just over it. We are all responsible to make a change. It starts by taking ownership. Like Nipsey said, it's a marathon. So I'll take the torch from MLK, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, and so on. As the list goes on, I'll carry on. No baggage, no savage. It's about a selfless legacy, Black love and unity throughout every Black community. Even the gays too, and a lot of punk ass brothers we view as waste suits. It's about time we face truth. Let's rise above them elevated and decorated lies. You ain't better than your sister cause you bought some thicker thighs. You ain't better than your brother cause you own a bigger ride. I guess the whips and chains did its trick, got us traumatized and sick, got our sisters doing tricks for chains and whips. Our brothers sprint for another brother to slip, ready with banana clips, segregated bloods and crib. Call to action, yeah, roll call. If we don't pick up the phone, we'll be the biggest contribution to our downfall. Living life like a circus, distraction from our purpose. The aim to attain true freedom. There's no way we won while Black lives dropping like flies on rerun. Hate ain't innate. We weren't born with hate. We were born in hate because we were taught to hate. If taking a knee for justice is being insubordinate, next in line is to infiltrate. Black people, let us coordinate to liberate. Black Lives Matter, there's no debate. I said, Black Lives Matter, there's no debate. You're gonna read?
I'm so over being told I don't exist. I'm standing right. It's psychological warfare. Black people exist and they live here. Queer people exist and live here. Gender diversity lives here. Be proud and loud with me. It's the only way to break free and create visibility. Creating visibility ensures a commitment to inclusivity. Action inclusivity creates more equitable communities, and more equitable communities creates richness of culture, empathy, and collaboration, and the economy. I'm here for all of this. You with me? I wish I could fight every day. At least I was so panic though. All right. The last one, I like that. This is Michelle Obama. Recently, her- really after reading the coming by Michelle Obama, and just recognizing that like this young Shelley-Ann, that's my actual birth name. I stopped using the Shelley-Ann when I got a little bit older. I was embarrassed by it. And a lot of people would make comments about that's not a Black name, and they would always just make some comments, and it didn't really feel like it was something that I could continue. And now as I get older and I'm so much more like who I am, I think innately, I feel like I'm going back to that Shelley-Ann, and now I'm giving her permission to just. And so I wanted to read this because I hear it all the time about this, like the go high. You gotta go higher. A lot of people always say that, especially in the Black community, when they go low, you go high. But I heard this recently when Michelle Obama said to clarify that. Let's be clear, going high does not mean putting on a smile and saying nice things when confronted with viciousness and cruelty. Going high means taking the harder path. It means scrapping and clawing our way to that mountaintop. Going high means standing fierce against hatred.
Okay. Yeah, so speaking of identity, I was just thinking about just one more, I guess, group of people to recognize is disability. At the first time I was here, I was normal or able, and then I had an accident on Christmas, which has disabled me. And it's invisible because you can't see it. But it did mess up my back quite a bit, so I have a little bit of a wobble when I walk. But there was a poem that honestly I didn't even know I wrote. I just read it last night, I think it was, and something in my heart said that someone in the room needs to hear it, so I want to share this one with you. And it goes like this. And so what? If anxiety was a warning and not the enemy, or bad, or negative. If she were your closest friend, showing caution in the wind. And to depression, the hurricane of too many emotions at once, and then nothing at all. If he were the helping hand to finding out you've been drowning all along. PTSD then could be the counselor we were meaning to speak to, but kept forgetting, holding everything inside until we became bad. That's a, oh, nice. Cool. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, so it became bad. Yeah. And then this one, just two more. This one I wanted to read because just to inspire, writing a book, it has made me so like you, perfectionist. Like I'm like, I have to make every poem perfect. It has to inspire the world. And then I'm like, so one voice said to me, you know, shut up and write something, you know. Is that our bell?
May I have your attention, please? The library will be closing in 15 minutes.
Okay.
Getting all the warning dogs.
Yeah, so then as I was trying to write the next poem, this is the poem that came from wherever, and I guess it was kind of the Great Spirit speaking to me when I was trying to force poetry. Forcing poetry to ripen before its time is as gracious to the ears as poison is to the ground. The roots grow withered and the stems grow bare, that even when the storm passes through, ripping the deceased out of the soil, you'd have wished there were flowers waiting for destruction. That's all. And then the last part, always have to shout out. I have crazy mad love for him. He's there in the red coat. He has the crazy hair, and I love him so much. So some feelings come, and I don't know. Yeah, I just purposely. I don't know if it's poetry or just words, but I'm glad to share it. Small things of love that I love, like the fingertips resting at the base of my palm, a kiss in the middle of it, and your finger tracing the print of your lips that you left behind.
He's always giving me all the feels.
One of those, first one, called Healed. Collective song. There's about 6 artists on the song. It's going to be releasing in the next couple months. It's very meaningful to all of us. I'm excited to share with you. The song goes like this. Stay down, start to heal again. They don't know where you've been. Always hold up your chin. One conviction out here cost you 10 in the bin. Rather see people win. Live on the other side of living in sin. I was born in the skin that I'm in. Respect and love to my kin. Feel the power and the strength from within. Know the patience is tough. Know the time for the thin. We can never give up. We can never give in. Second one that I wrote for my son. That was a tough year for all of us. That pain, that emotion, and put it into our craft. The other verse goes, cloth that I'm cut from is different. Tough love, tough skin. Sensitive and considerate. You don't know where I've been. Been a gentleman at heart. Had to learn to play it smart. Canvas turned into metal. My little brother selling art. Half black, half white. When I'm wrong, I'm right. Half British, half Jamaican. I can show you my light. Told them all get in tune. Power moves coming soon. 2020 tunnel vision. Got the speakers on boom. Got a message if you bag it. Share it with you, you can have it. Saving money, I'm an addict. Marijuana, that's a habit. 10 toes in these tennis shoes. How can you win when you're gonna lose? Yeah, that's really it right there. I got it. I just feel like coming up for the pleasure.
So I haven't done a reading in a while. So I've got a short story. I was kind of editing today, and I think I retitled it "The Monster Becomes." And I can't remember. I wrote it a while ago, and it was like a prompt I got somewhere. It was about what if you could see your own death. So my question to that was, what if you saw it and you didn't know what it was that you're seeing? So it's a short story. Try and do it before we get kicked out. I'm 9 years old, struggling to find the answer in class, when for a moment, I'm in a dark, dingy room. A woman lies on the floor in her own filth. She looks at me with slow, blinking eyes, as if to say, I'm sorry I let you down. She takes one rattling breath and slumps. I sit before a birthday cake with 14 candles on it. All of my friends are there. Winston, Emily, and Caitlin. The four of us are nothing alike, except we only fit together. I laugh as they sing happy birthday with cracking voices. I think about the gifts as Mom slices the cake and Dad scoops ice cream onto plates. This is the best birthday ever, until I'm transported to that shady place again, with the sad woman on the floor telling me she's sorry. University is hard. I'm doing okay in physics, but lagging in computer science. I aim to be an environmental scientist, and I'm working on a project to balance greenhouse gases. My professor said it's too basic to work, but he gave me the green light. And Mom says the most important things we do in life are hard. I can't decide if that's encouraging or depressing. There's a knock at the door. You are way too attractive to go on this date in track pants and a ponytail. Winston's here to give me a makeover. He sits me down in front of the bathroom mirror. As he puts cheek rouge on, I see myself for the first time. And then I'm there again, standing before the woman on the floor. She looks back at me with my own dark, apocalyptic eyes. How could that be me? I'm in the hospital.
I'm sorry. There's a freaking rat.
There was a mouse.
Sorry. It went back through the door.
Come on now, I wanna-
I'm sorry.
He doesn't come over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in the hospital. I was in a car accident on my way home from my back screams with stabbing pain. I do anything to stop the agony. I beg for one more pill before they wheel me out. As Mom drives me home in the rain, I pray to think clearly so I can get back to work. Then, for a moment, I'm in that dank place, watching soulless eyes look back at me from the filthy floor. I'm 29, lying on the floor in that dark place. I feel heavier than metal. Pain is my life. It's a fire breathing dragon coursing hot through my veins, lightning striking erratically within my nervous system. I get my pills on the street. I see myself standing like both a memory out of time and an out-of-body experience at once. I'm flanked by my 9, 14-year-old, and 20-year-old selves, girls filled with potential and dreams, looking at the monster they'll become.
Yeah. I enough to get lost in my pants. Right? He's like, I ain't gonna let y'all stop me. I'm coming through.
You're stealing the show, man.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Good. Well, I have a sentence. I'm flanked by my 9, 14-year-old, and 24-year-old selves, girls filled with potential and dreams, looking at the monster they'll become. I'm sorry I'm weak. I'm angry I can't free myself of the need. Anything for one more pill. My eyes are too tired, too dry to cry. As I take my last breath, I am not alone. So the next word up is Thursday, March 9th, and we are going to have a state panel with Victoria and a few other ladies. Yep. Newsletter is wordupberry.com. The mouse is on, find it.
EVIP, people on the show.
Site. check energy, post our Zoom, and Gary gave you a paycheck. Thanks everybody for coming out.